Today's episode is all about buying notes. You know, there's a shortcut to what we do. I've been out there making all these notes from scratch, but there is a shortcut and you can just go buy some. I did a recent interview with a lady named Tracy Rewey, and she talks about how to buy notes. I think you're going to find it very interesting, so stay tuned and we're going to watch this interview, and then at the end, I'm going to give you something very special for free. This is Mitch, and you have made it to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast, and we're going to get you some Tracy Z Rewey today. And she's in the note business. I can't wait for you to talk to her, but first I got to pay homage to my sponsors. Today's sponsor is Moat, NoteServicing.com. Are your collections falling further and further behind because you're too nice? Do you dread those collection calls? Is your account analysis being done each year? Or is record keeping just not your forte? If so, let Moat, NoteServicing.com stand between you and your payers and all those issues and problems. That's Moat, M-O-A-T, like the moat that goes around the castle. M-O-A-T, NoteServicing.com. That's owned by founder Shannon. Shannon has been 20 years in the note collection business. She has collected tens of thousands of notes. She's licensed and bonded and has made this collection service affordable for you. And she can even show you how to get your payer to pay for the note collection service fee. So how about that, you guys? Free note servicing collection. So contact Moat, NoteServicing.com, because you should be out making deals. All right, we got that out of the way. My very nice sponsor, and I appreciate them very much. But we're going to get on to this conversation with Tracy Z Rewey. We're going to get you some Tracy Z Rewey right here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Hello, how are you? And all those good things.
Well, hey, Mitch, I'm doing well, thanks. Survived Hurricane Matthew out here in Florida, so I can't complain. Today it's beautiful and sunny like it's supposed to be.
Well, I'm glad that you're safe and dry and above water. Tell us a little bit about your history so we can catch up with exactly who Tracy Z is.
Sure. So I got started in seller finance notes back in 1988. And I'd always been familiar with owner financing. I grew up in a real rural area, so there were a lot of properties that couldn't get any other type of financing. Definitely I was aware of it. It didn't seem unusual to me for my real estate closing type background, but I didn't get involved in the buying and selling, the investing side of it until 1988 when I went to work for an institutional investor. So I moved to the big town, right, the big city out in Washington State of Spokane, Washington, and went to work for a big institutional investor. I started out doing closings for them, and then I got into the underwriting and due diligence, and then somebody showed me a financial calculator, and the light bulbs went off. And I headed up their closing department. I helped them go national. Then I was in charge of branches. Then I became the person who was the go-to person for all the securitizations, trying to explain common sense approaches to underwriters and securities and all the, anyways, it was an interesting time. And I have to tell you, it was like, wow, it was the best way to learn the seller finance note business. And I did that for 10 years. And one of the things that they didn't allow you to do was buy notes for yourself. And that was understandable because, you know, they didn't want you taking deals from them, right? I was intricately involved in a lot of deals, so they didn't want you to have a conflict of interest. So I would buy and sell real estate, and I did buy and sell some real estate with owner financing as well. I did some rehabbing, but I'm telling you, I knew where in my mind, for me, the best place to be was buying and selling the real estate notes themselves, the paper, the security, collecting those mailbox payments, as we call them. So after 10 years of working with them, I went out on my own, and that was in 97, and started Diversified Investment Services and bought and sold notes for myself. And that was just a wonderful experience because now I was working for myself, and it had ups and downs and goods and bads. But investing your own money versus a big company, corporations, is different. We can't afford to lose as much, right? So I had to learn and tweak, and I didn't have the same kind of marketing budget they did. So over the years, I've definitely done that. So fast forward now, it's 2016. I'm getting close to 20 years on my own, and then 10 years doing it for somebody else. So I love the seller finance note business. It's been good to me, and that's sort of my history.
Wow, 30 years in the business. I started to chuckle there a little bit when you said it was a whole different game when you invest in your own money. So you've written this, you're going to give away the 21 tips for investing in real estate notes. And so just so the listeners can get this written down here, you can get this 21 tips for investing in real estate notes from Tracy Z. And that's actually, I think I need to point that out. Tracy Z, that's just the letter Z. That's her real given name. So don't be confused. It's not Z-E-E or Z-E-A or Z anything. It's just Z, just Tracy Z. Rewey, R-E-W-E-Y. But if you go to reinvestorsummit.com/notes, that's plural, N-O-T-E-S, you'll have a chance to get this 21 tips for investing in real estate notes. Make sure you don't capitalize that word notes. It needs to be all lowercase. There seems to be some gremlins about putting capital letters after the .com /. You want to have all lowercase notes, N-O-T-E-S. So I don't know that we have time to go through a whole 21 list here, but I would like to find out, like, what is the top 5 ways that the best ways to invest in notes or to find notes? I mean, can you give us, like, your top 5, Tracy?
Absolutely, and I appreciate the opportunity. So the place that I suggest people to start, unless they already have a background in buying and selling notes, is to earn while you learn. So the simplest steps to strategy 1 would be to find a note, refer it to another investor, and earn a referral fee. Now, you're not going to get rich off of that, but you get a whole lot of education, and you're going to earn about 3 to 6%. Probably that's the average fee. 3 to 6% of what the investor invests, you can earn as a referral fee. So that's going to be the simplest way. And like I said, it's going to help you start a marketing method and find notes and get a pipeline and then refer it for a fee. And then you get to learn the ins and outs of it. So you get to earn while you learn. That would be the first strategy. And then when you're ready, the money, in my opinion, is over investing for interest income. So then when you're ready, you can find a note, you can buy a note, and we always buy notes at a discount. And that discount is determined by the risks, the pros and the cons of the note. So there you get to set your rate of return. Obviously, it has to be competitive for you to be able to purchase the note, because the seller has to have a reason to sell that note at a discount. But investing for interest income, where your payment comes in and a certain amount goes to principal and interest. So you get that interest, plus you get to earn back your discount because you didn't pay the full face value.
Can you give us a story or a case study or example of a recent note that you've done?
Sure.
We like stories.
Yeah, stories are good, aren't they?
We like stories around here. Tell us a story. Once upon a time, there was this guy with a note.
Once upon a time. All right, so I've got one here from our 5 Ways to Cash In and Cash Flow Notes, and that's a free download, too, that they can get when they go to that area that you talked about.
Yes, reinvestorsummit.com /notes. Put notes all lowercase. All right, tell us your story there.
All right. So we do quite a bit of business with mobile homes and land. Not as much mobile home only, although that's great for certain types of investors as well. But here would be, and I usually do a smaller sized example because 1, smaller deals spread your risk around, and 2, most people say, oh, I could get comfortable with that. And then once you learn that process or that strategy, you can apply it to bigger deals if you want. So this was a well-seasoned note. So again, I work with existing seller finance notes. Now, you can apply it as your strategies are creating them, but these are existing ones. So you're marketing to people who already hold a note.
I hope you're enjoying this interview with Tracy Rewey. I learned a lot from her, and she knows a lot about buying notes. So let's pause for just 1 second, and let's take a little gander at this like button and this share button, because I would really like you to go press on that like button and that share button and let the people out there know that we're doing a good job. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, then please hit the subscribe button, because there's a lot of content coming over the next year and you won't want to miss it.
So this was a deal out in Texas, actually, and it was on a mobile home and land, an older mobile. And the property sold with owner financing for $32,500, and they'd only put about 5% down. So the time they came to us, the seller had collected 95 monthly payments, and they wanted to sell all the remaining payments for cash today.
And how many payments were left?
There were only 25 remaining payments left on that one. So the balance had paid all the way down to $8,924 and some change, and it was payable at 9% interest. And the payment was $392.88 a month. So as often the case in these kinds of deals, the payer didn't have great credit. Surprise, right?
Right. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. But what it did have going for it was they'd been paying for a long time and was an affordable home for them. So did have some delinquent real estate taxes, and then we found out the insurance had lapsed, so things were kind of piling up that it wasn't our favorite deal. And a lot of investors had said no altogether. But we looked at the land-only value in case we looked at paying the delinquent taxes, and we decided to make an offer for that note out of our self-directed retirement account for $2,531. So, we're getting $8,900 balance and for paying about $2,500. So the seller was tired of all the headaches. They needed the cash, and so they sold it to our retirement account. So if you look just at that as a peer return, you put it into an HP 12C financial calculator like we teach people to do in our how to calculate cash flows training, that was a return over 180%. But just a small $2,500 investment that would get paid off in 25 months, 2 years and a month. And the great news is we actually paid off early on that. We gave them a little discount to pay off early, and so our yield actually went up on that deal. So that's an example of what you can do. Not all of them are going to have that great of return, but there's something you could do with a smaller note. It's harder to get those returns on larger notes, obviously, if they're more conforming types of properties. But those are the types of things you can do with these small notes that some of the bigger investors overlook.
That concludes today's episode. I want to thank you for taking some time and listening in on my interview with Tracy Rewey. And now I'm going to do something I don't hardly ever do. I'm about to hand out my cell phone number on this YouTube channel. So take this down, 210-669-4020. And if you want to talk to me about some one-on-one mentoring, just call me directly. If I can't talk right that minute, we'll make a time, but call 210-669-4020. That's my cell phone. And I'm going to pick it up and we're going to talk. And what the conversation is about is to figure out if I'm a good fit for you and if you're a good fit for me. Because if we're a good fit, then we'll talk about going forward. If either one of us think it's not a good fit, then we won't. Anyways, it's a low pressure gig. Give me a call and we'll have a discussion. This is Mitch Stephen and we're out of here to the next episode.